Hi. I know I already posted my video on my verses this morning, but I've really been thinking about somebody in my life who really taught me about rejoicing always, praying without ceasing, giving thanks in everything. And that person was my grandma. I was blessed to live just right up the road from her as I was growing up, and then I lived with her for a couple of years before I got married. And there's a couple of things that I really remember about her. One was the way she sang, her voice. It was always very distinct, but she just really, you could tell she believed every word that she'd sing when she was singing the hymns at church. Even now, when I hear some of those songs, I can hear her voice and the way she sang it. And sometimes it makes me, get teary-eyed, and sometimes it makes me smile. But I love that I can still hear her voice in my mind. Another thing I remember about her is that she loved to cook, especially cookies. Every time my sisters and I would come down, there were fresh cookies or pie. Like with Thanksgiving, there was always pie. And then the third thing I remembered was that she was a prayer warrior. Anytime I'd come to the house, I often would find her kneeling or sitting in a chair, praying by name for every person in the family, just really praying for us. And I just really appreciated the fact that I grew up knowing, that prayer works, and just having that Christian upbringing, and what a legacy she and my pappy left. One thing I cherish is this picture of her, and on the back is a poem that they found in her Bible in her own handwriting. And before I read it, I remembered that when she passed and the family was saying, you can come over and, take what you want. As we were going over, I remember just saying, what I really wanted was a Bible. It didn't have to be her personal Bible, because I figured one of her daughters would want that, but I just wanted one of her Bibles, because I knew her faith meant so much, and I could only hope and dream that one day I would have that kind of strong faith. And she did. There were times I would see her not so happy because she did struggle with depression, but she would still pray through it. And as I lived with her for those few years, I could tell when she wasn't feeling the best, because she wasn't singing and wasn't smiling like she usually did. And so when I would see her, I'd come home from work and she would smile or she'd be singing, I'd go, "Oh, Grandma, you're feeling better." "Oh, how'd you know?" And I say, "Because you're smiling again," or "Because you're singing," and she loved that I picked up on that. But I just want to read this short little poem that was written in her handwriting. I don't know whether she heard it herself and liked it so much she wrote it down, or whether she wrote it, but it says, it's entitled, "Prayers Are the Stairs to God." Prayers are the stairs we must climb every day. If we would reach God, there is no other way. For we learn to know God when we meet Him in prayer and ask Him to lighten our burdens of care. So start in the morning, and though the way's steep, climb ever upward till your eyes close in sleep. For prayers are the stairs that lead to the Lord, and to meet Him in prayer is the climber's reward. She definitely earned her reward. There is no doubt in my mind, or in anyone who knew her, that we will see her again one day and that she is in heaven. So if you are dealing with, if you still have your grandma, first of all, be very thankful. And, I was thankful I had her as long as I did. I know that there's people who have lost their loved ones very young. My kids were 5 and 10 when they lost their great grandma. But, I was in my 30s, and I knew that was one thing I was thankful for, because, I had someone say, but at least you had her that long, and I really was kind of like, well, I didn't want to lose her. But I've seen people who are very young losing their grandma, and, I just can feel for them. So if you still have your grandma, be very thankful for that and cherish her, and, just really learn all you can from her. And if you've lost her, like I have, then, try and think of the positives of all you learned from her. And, I love to bake her cookies, two of my favorites, at Christmas time. And one is now my daughter's favorite cookie as well. And the other my son loves. And my husband, it's one of his favorites. So I get to make her cookies every year, and it makes my family happy. So that's something that, if you have recipes from your grandma, make them for your family, and, have that good memory of her. So I hope you have a great day.